This now, the ANC NEC will be meeting this afternoon in Cape Town. For more on this, let's now cross to our reporter, Abra Barbier, standing by for us. Abra, of course, a very interesting week for the ANC. We saw how the ANC NEC, led by its Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, crisscrossing different parts of the Western Cape. Just talk to us about today's meeting then, as the party, of course, prepares for its January 8 statement at the weekend.
Unati, good afternoon. Yes, a very interesting and long week indeed. We just arrived at the Cape Sun Hotel in Cape Town, where we were told we'll be given an opportunity to have a photo op with the NEC members. We wouldn't have access to the meeting itself, of course, but we were told we would have an opportunity for a photo op at 4. And we just arrived here but a few minutes before 4 when we were told that the meeting has now moved to 6 o'clock this evening, because not all the NEC members have arrived. They're all still flying in. I know just before I left the office, I was watching the president himself still saying he's about to get on a plane to Cape Town. So there's a whole bunch of them who are still on their way here. But today's media briefing with Fikile Mbalula, however, he started off giving us a history lesson. It was supposed to be an update on the plans and, how things are developing for Saturday's big event. And it started off with a history lesson of the ANC and what the ANC has achieved to date. But just before the briefing started, Tony Ngeni, under his handle, I think Tornado, something like that was his handle, he tweeted a photo of the stadium, Khayelitsha Stadium, where the event is supposed to be happening, and he basically just asked what is the capacity of this venue. Now, the capacity issue seems to have been quite a touchy subject to the ANC, because before any questions were even asked, Mbalula mentioned capacity and that journalists must basically get their figures right, because it's apparently been reported somewhere that Khayelitsha Park can only accommodate 2,000 people, where in fact they're expecting around 22,000 people at the venue. When I asked Mbalula about the capacity and why this venue, in comparison to previous years where bigger venues were utilized, I said, is this because of your declining support in the Western Cape? And while I'm on that point, what do you think about your comrade Tony Ngeni's post on social media? And it's clear that Mbalula had obviously seen that post before he came to us, and he said that Mr. Ngeni is being charged, and he in fact called him, as you heard in the clip earlier on, he called him via or sent him a WhatsApp message to ask him or to let him know he will be charged, and he has to present himself to the ANC's disciplinary process, or present himself before the ANC's disciplinary processes, so that they can assess the situation. So that seems people who are questioning the capacity issues, it obviously to me seemed like a nerve was touched. Mbalula said that the issue of the venue has nothing to do with the ANC's insecurity about decline. They're aware of the decline. They're aware that people in the Western Cape are not necessarily happy with him. But the reason why that specific venue in Khayelitsha was chosen was because Khayelitsha is its largest constituency, and because the ANC is aware that its communities around the Western Cape feel so neglected, they came to Khayelitsha specifically because they want to reconnect with the people of Khayelitsha and remind them that they have not been forgotten, they have not been abandoned, and the ANC is still their movement. Unati?
Just on that, statement in terms of neglect, we've seen this also doing the rounds on social media. I want to begin with, how the ANC itself, the leadership, has been received in Khayelitsha. On the one hand, we've got Mashatile saying that communities like Langa, like Khayelitsha, have been neglected by the DA-led Western Cape government, as you say. We also saw that post by Helen Ziller then rubbishing that statement, saying that, in fact, the DA does more for people in Khayelitsha than in Camps Bay. On the ground, Abra, if you can just give us a sense of, how the ANC leadership has been then received.
you know what's interesting? Normally when I'm on the ground with political parties, I don't necessarily speak to party members in the communities because you expect them to have a specific narrative. They're not going to speak ill of the organization. But yesterday I spoke to ANC members, people who were in the community in ANC regalia, you know, proudly wearing their colors. And every single person I spoke to, ANC members, I thought they were going to sing the praises of the party when I spoke to them, but every single one of them spoke about neglect. I asked them, what do you think the party can do? What would your message to leadership be in terms of how they can regain ground in the Western Cape? What do you think they should be doing, or what have they not been doing? Every single person I spoke to spoke about feeling neglected, spoke about feeling overlooked, spoke about the lack of visibility by leaders in communities. They said that with the Deputy President coming to the church service yesterday, he connected with the community because he comes across as a human being just like everybody else, and that's how they want to see their leaders. One lady I spoke to, an older woman, she was very passionate, and she is from Crossroads. Now, I don't know if you know, but Crossroads was very instrumental during the apartheid years here in Cape Town. It was one of the hubs and hives where unrest took place, and where, you know, the security police went in, and, you know, there was just lots of things happening in Crossroads. And the community of Crossroads were also very instrumental in the fight against apartheid. There were loads of protests there. And back then it was a dangerous area to go into because of all the protests and because of the security police activity there. And this lady, a granny, possibly a great granny, she said to me that she is from Crossroads and she's been completely forgotten by the party. She says in terms of houses in their community, they don't wait for the ANC to build houses. They have stockpiles in their communities where they buy brick by brick, block by block, bags of cement by bag of cement to build their own houses for themselves because they feel so lost, they feel so neglected, they feel so unseen. She says when the party does come around, they don't speak to her generation, they speak to their kids. And she says they're feeling very unseen, and she would encourage the party to just make itself more visible on the ground. So that is the sentiment that I have been getting from people on the ground. Of course, we are going to be interacting with communities as the week goes by. But to answer your question, people are feeling neglected. And of course, when I asked Mbalula that, he acknowledged it. He said, yes, you are right, our people do feel forgotten, which was quite a powerful statement on his part. I mean, what else could he say? I'm told him this is what people are saying. How else could he respond to it? Unathi?
Absolutely. Abra, thank you so much for that, of course, giving us a sense of what we can expect this evening as the ANC NEC meets in Cape Town. Reporter there, Abra Barbier in Cape Town.